Are you confused about where to start in UI UX design? Feeling stuck or frustrated in your current career? Or maybe you're ambitious and ready to level up your design game? You're not alone. Many aspiring designers face these exact challenges, not knowing what skills to learn first, which tools to use, or how to actually get that first job or client. In this full tutorial, I'm going to share a complete roadmap to go from zero to UI UX designer in 2025. But why should you listen to me? My name is Pierre, and I've spent over 10 years working with clients in tech, SaaS, and other industries, helping them build and scale digital products. From AI startups to large enterprises, I've been in the trenches solving design problems that drive business results. I've helped designers like you refine their approach and land their first clients, and now I'm here to share the strategies that can help you do the same. Now, in the next 10 minutes, we'll cover everything you need to know, and by the end of this video, you'll have a clear step-by-step path to follow. Sounds good? Let's dive in. Understanding the landscape. Now, before diving into the roadmap, it's important to first understand the core concepts of both UI and UX design, as they lay the foundation for everything you'll do as a designer. UI UX design is about creating both the look and feel of a product. UI, which stands for user interface, focuses on the visual elements like layout, buttons, and typography, while UX, which stands for user experience, ensures that the product is intuitive and easy to use. In simple terms, UI is the look, UX is the feel. As a UI UX designer, your role involves user research, sketching wireframes, creating high fidelity mockups, building prototypes, and testing designs. Now, you work closely with product managers and developers, bridging user needs with the product's design. In 2025, considering the advancements in AI, knowing both UI and UX is essential. Many companies, especially smaller ones, need designers who can handle both the visual and experiential aspect of design. So mastering both makes you more versatile, ensuring your designs are both functional and visually appealing. All right, so you're excited to start, but how do you actually build the foundation? Here's the game plan. Step 1. Get the right guidance. To save time and avoid confusion, it helps to follow a proven roadmap. And quick note, put together the S-Tier Designer's Playbook, which is my in-depth course that guides you through becoming a top-tier UI UX designer step by step. More on that later, but keep it in mind if you want a structured path. Now, what should you learn first, UI or UX? This is a common question. I recommend starting with UX fundamentals, things like basic design principles, user research methods, understanding user needs, and information architecture. Why? Because if you know why you're designing something, the user problem, and the logic behind the solution, your UI decisions will be much stronger. That said, don't wait too long to also start practicing UI design. You can learn UX and UI in parallel. For example, as you learn more about user flows and wireframing, which are UX skills, you can simultaneously start learning a design tool and start practicing with concepts like typography and color, which are UI skills. Now, the key is to balance both. So, if you're more drawn to one side, say you love visuals, challenge yourself to also do the user research and UX planning for your projects, and vice versa. Don't forget also the soft skills, because being a successful designer is not just about hard skills like knowing Figma or doing research. Soft skills are your secret sauce, such as communication, since you must explain your design decisions and present your work clearly. Also, good communication means listening. So, understanding what users, clients, or team members are saying and needing. Also, collaboration. Design is a team sport. So, you'll work with developers, other designers, product managers, and clients. And being able to collaborate, take feedback, and work towards a common goal is huge. Now, also product thinking. This means thinking beyond just making it pretty. Ask questions like what problems are we solving? And how does this design support the business goals? So, if you approach design with a product mindset, you stand out as a more strategic designer. Also, empathy and problem solving. These are at the heart of UX. Truly empathize with users and always be in problem solving mode, as this mindset will guide you all of your UX and UI decisions. And next, let's talk tools. In 2025, the industry standard tools haven't drastically changed, but there are clear favorites, starting with Figma, the king of UI design tools right now. It's free to start, collaborative, and used by most companies for designing interfaces and even basic prototyping. If you learn only one tool, start with Figma for sure. Next up is Framer. Now, this is an excellent tool for designing and building responsive websites without coding, similar to Webflow. It's great for freelancers or designers looking to create live interactive projects to showcase in their portfolio. Now, not every UI UX designer needs Framer, but knowing it, in my personal opinion, can give you an edge, especially when building your portfolio site or when working for startups that need websites or landing pages. And for UX tasks, you might use tools like Miro or FigJam for brainstorming, user flows, sticky note type workshops, and more. And also maybe Notion or at a basic level, tools like Excel or Google Suite for research analysis. Now, for prototyping, beyond Figma's capabilities, some use Prototype or even Framer, but honestly, Figma's built-in prototyping is enough for most needs when starting out. So if you're into graphic design, familiarity with Adobe Photoshop or Illustrator can help you for creating assets, but they're not mandatory for UI UX work anymore. Now, how to get started with these tools without feeling overwhelmed? The key is taking it step by step. So first of all, learn the basics of Figma or your chosen UI tool, and spend a few days just getting comfortable with the interface. Learn how to frame, which is basically your artboard or screen. Learn how to use frames, how to drop shapes, add images, text, and use layers. So all of the basics, and practice by recreating a simple app screen or web page. Start with wireframes. Don't jump straight into making things super pretty. Begin with wireframing. So create simple grayscale layouts of your app or website ideas. This helps you focus on layout and functionality first, which is the UX, before the visuals. It can be as simple as boxes and placeholder text. The point is to plan the structure. Also, experiment with UI elements. After wireframing, apply a UI layer. So choose a basic color scheme and font and try designing the screen in a higher fidelity. This is where you'll learn things like spacing, alignment, and using Figma's feature like auto layout, which is a lifesaver for responsive design, and masks, for example, to crop images into shapes or create image avatars. And don't worry if it's not perfect. The goal is to practice. Also, use shortcuts and plugins. It might sound minor, but learning keyboard shortcuts early on will make you much faster and efficient. So, for instance, in Figma, pressing A brings up the frame tool. I also recommend you to explore Figma's community for useful plugins like the one for stock images or icons. I actually have another video where I cover the top 10 Figma plugins that I personally recommend using. So check that out later if you're interested. Now, finally, consider getting guidance or structure. There's a ton of free content out there, and you should definitely take advantage of YouTube tutorials and articles. But one way to fast track your foundation is a course or structured program. This is where my Steer Designer Playbook course comes in, as it's designed to give you a clear sequence of what to learn in what order, with hands-on projects, mentorship, and the feedback. Whether you use a course or self-guided curriculum, the key is to stay organized and consistent in your learning. Next up, building a portfolio. This is a make or break element, especially for landing jobs or clients. So your portfolio is basically proof of your skills. But how do you build one if you're a beginner and have no real clients or projects yet? Don't worry, you can create an impressive portfolio from scratch. But what makes a great portfolio in the first place? First of all, quality case studies. A case study is a story of a design project. It explains the problem you set out to solve, how you approached it, your research, sketches, testing, and the final design solution. So even if you're new, you can create your own case studies. In fact, even hypothetical or practice projects can shine in a portfolio if you present them well. So employers and clients mainly want to see your thought process. Can you identify a user problem, generate and iterate a solution, and produce a usable, beautiful design at the end? If the answer is yes, show that step by step in your case study. So what if you have no clients? Here are a few ways to build portfolio pieces when you are brand new to design. First of all, is redesigning a product you love or hate. So pick an app or website you're already using and imagine you're the designer tasked with improving it. Identify pain points or areas for improvement and redesign those. Make sure to write about why you changed what you did. This shows initiative and problem solving skills. Solve a hypothetical problem also. Think of a problem in everyday life that could be solved with an app, website, or digital product. For example, maybe you notice it's hard to keep track of habits, or people struggle to find volunteering opportunities. Now, you can invent a project around that. For example, design a habit tracker app or a volunteering matching site. Since it's your own idea, you can define the brief and have fun with it. Another idea is to volunteer to do a small freelance project. So you can offer your design skills to a nonprofit, a local business, or a friend's startup for free or a nominal fee. In return, you get a real project to work on with real constraints and feedback, and permission to showcase it in your portfolio. So, for instance, you might redesign a local coffee shop website or create a simple app for a community event. Real client work, even if it's small, teaches you a lot and beefs up your portfolio. And once you have 2 to 3 solid projects to showcase, where do you post them? You want a portfolio website of some sort. Now, the ideal is a portfolio website with its own URL, which you can design yourself using Webflow Framer or even using templates on Squarespace if you want the easiest solution, as this gives you full control and looks professional. In addition, you can also consider posting on platforms like Contra and Dribbble. Now, these platforms have communities where recruiters or even potential clients browse for talent. Behance also lets you write long-form case studies with images, which is perfect for UX projects, while Dribbble is more for visual snippets, but you can still post your project shots there to gain exposure. And you can also share your case studies on LinkedIn or Medium. Now, writing an article on Medium about your design project and then sharing that on LinkedIn can actually catch the eye of hiring managers. Plus, it demonstrates communication skills. There's also UX-specific portfolio sites like UXfolio or even publishing on Notion and sharing the public link. The format doesn't really matter as much as the content, so just make sure whatever you use is accessible, so no login needed for viewers, and showcases your work clearly. Right. Now that you got some skills and a portfolio ready, now how do you land that first client or job? This is the part that can feel most intimidating. I'll share a quick personal story of how I did it and some tips that you can use. So when I was first starting out, I had zero clients and no industry connections. And I remembered feeling like, how do I break in if no one will give me a chance? So here's what I did. I proactively reached out, identified a few local businesses whose websites and apps looked updated and could use a redesign. One of them was a friend of my brother. And basically, that's the very first project that I ever worked on. It was a redesign of their website, as well as some marketing materials and assets that they needed for their consulting firm. From there, I slowly started getting more comfortable, raising my rates, getting more clients, and the rest is history. Now, your path might look different, but a few principles are going to hold true. First of all, do not be afraid to start small. Your first project likely won't be a fancy Fortune 500 client or a huge app with millions of users, but instead it might be a project for a friend or a tiny freelance gig on Upwork or a personal project that gathers attention. And that's perfectly fine. You just need that foot in the door. So leverage your network and community. Tell people that you're available for design work. Share your portfolio on social media. Join UX groups or forums. Sometimes opportunities come from unexpected places. a friend of a friend that needs a designer, a startup founder sees your post on LinkedIn, etc. Networking isn't about cold selling yourself. It's about building genuine connections. Engage with other designers too. They might refer excess work to you if you show you're talented and reliable. Also, consider freelance platforms or job boards. Websites like Upwork, Fiverr, or dedicated job boards can be a way to get that first paid project. And yes, competition is tough, and rates can be low for beginners, but treat it as a learning experience and portfolio builder. Just be careful to pick a project that seems reputable and manageable. And for those already experienced in design but new to freelancing, you have an advantage, and that is your skill set. But you might need to learn sales and outreach. So this means refining your pitch, maybe cold emailing potential clients or companies, and showcasing the value you bring. Not just I can make graphics, but how you can solve their business problems through design. It's a different skill to sell your services, but it's one you can develop with practice. Start with small outreach like I did, or by sharing valuable content online to attract clients. And if your goal is a full-time job rather than freelance clients, much of what we discussed still applies. Network, so apply to many places, even if you feel underqualified, because you never know. And be prepared to talk through your design process in interviews. In both cases, be persistent. You might face rejections or silence, but keep improving your portfolio, keep learning, and keep putting yourself out there. The first break is often the hardest, but once you have it, the next steps are going to become easier. And remember, every great designer you know once had no experience and struggled to get that first opportunity. So they got through it, and so will you. It might take time, but each project or interview, even if it doesn't work out, is practice and brings you closer to success. So, how long does it take to become a UI UX designer? The truth is, it really varies based on the individual. Some people are going to become a UI UX designer faster, other ones are going to take a longer journey. But the reality is that you're going to be in this journey pretty much forever in terms of learning because you never stop learning and that you always need to keep an eye on the latest updates in technology workflows and how the world is going to update and adjust. So the key to success in this field boils down to things like consistency, seeking feedback, learning constantly, staying curious, and being resilient. And I know that the self-taught path can be challenging. It's easy to feel overwhelmed or unsure if you're on the right track. That's why structured support can be a game changer. Now, let me talk a moment about the S-Tier Designer's Playbook course they mentioned earlier. I created this course to be the roadmap I wish I had when I was first starting out. It includes a complete curriculum from UX basics to advanced UI UX techniques in the right order, practical projects with guidance, and also an entire training series on popular design tools like Figma, Framer, Webflow, and Canva, as well as the playbook that is needed in order to create a great design portfolio and how to find clients with a structured scientific approach. So I'm going to give you tips on job hunting, freelancing, and even things like pricing your work or communicating with clients efficiently. So you don't have to figure all that out by trial and error. So basically, it's designed to accelerate your journey and avoid the common pitfalls. Now, many people spend a year wandering through random YouTube videos, which have value but can lack coherence and structure. And this course gives you a coherent path and the mentorship to stay on track. So if that sounds something you'd benefit from, check out the link in the description for the training. By the way, if you found this tutorial helpful, please give a video a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I post weekly design content and it really helps the channel. And I'm curious to hear from you. What is your biggest challenge right now in becoming a UI UX designer? I'd love to hear, and maybe I can address some of those in a future videos or respond with some tips. So definitely drop some comments below. All right, we covered a lot. From understanding what the UI UX is to the skills and tools you need to building that first portfolio and getting your first opportunities. You got this. Every expert designer started where you are now. The only difference is they kept going on. So just keep going on. Take that first step and then the next one. And if you need help, you know where to find me.